The Detroit Pistons have won the 2021 NBA draft lottery, and with that, they have earned the right to select Cade Cunningham with their first overall pick. And with the acquisition of this first overall pick, along with all of the talent they have acquired on this roster in the last year, they've gone from one of the worst rebuilding teams, in my opinion, as far as I didn't think they really had much future talent on this team. They had Luke Kennard, and honestly, other than that, they didn't really have much. Of course, Christian Wood left in free agency, and I had some legitimate concerns about where the future of this team was going. But they've had a very good offseason. They added Isaiah Stewart, Jeremy Grant, Saddiq Bey, and Killian Hayes, three of them being very good young future players for this team. Saddiq Bey especially looks like a very promising prospect to me. And now they have added Cade Cunningham, presumably. And so in today's video, I'm going to be talking about why I think the Detroit Pistons have one of, if not the best futures in the NBA, maybe outside of OKC, as far as current talent on the roster, and that they probably do beat OKC in, and how this team can be good, and good relatively soon, in my opinion, and what the potential ceiling is for this Detroit Pistons team, as there is a lot to like on this roster. Subscribe and like the video if you guys do enjoy and you want more of my thoughts and previews on different teams heading into the offseason. I might be recommending a few things that I think they should do throughout the offseason here as well. But I just kind of want to talk about the amount of talent on this roster and how good they could be as talent starts to continue to develop and fill in to their primes. First off, full kudos to the Detroit Pistons front office. And I feel like that's something that hasn't necessarily been said a lot in recent years, but they've made some extremely good moves as of late, specifically in last year's offseason. Here highlights the key points of the Detroit Pistons summer offseason that I'm talking about. Saddiq Bey was drafted 19th overall. Isaiah Stewart was drafted 16th overall, who was acquired via trade a couple of days after the draft. And Killian Hayes was drafted 7th overall as their first round pick. He's the one that I'm the least sold on so far, but that's more so due to injury concerns, and it's not necessarily due to the fact that he just hasn't looked great, because he's only played about 25 games in the league, and so he definitely still has a lot of potential to maximize his playing ability. They also saw themselves acquire Hamidou Diallo for Filipsov Milajchuk from Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, as of right now, Diallo is a free agent going into the summer, but they could retain him if they wish to keep him around as a bench piece on this team. Simply stated, they just don't need him as a starter anymore, because as you can see on screen, their starting lineup, or projected starting lineup, for this coming season is as follows. Killian Hayes, coming into his second year, a lottery pick. Saddiq Bey, someone who I think is an absolutely brilliant talent, can shoot the ball from deep on the catch and shoot, create his own shot, has some potential to be very good defensively as well, can create off the dribble a bit too. I think his potential is absolutely very, very high, especially for someone that was taken at the 19th overall pick. This was a great find by the Pistons front office. They also then are going to have the likes of Cade Cunningham alongside these two perimeter players, who's absolutely just going to be brilliant. He just knows how to do everything on the offensive side of the ball. There's no doubt about it. He can score. He can have a bit of creation to him as well. His arsenal of shot making, shot creating is just so vast, and he's going to be an absolutely brilliant talent for this team. And then you also have the likes of Jeremy Grant, who had an absolute breakout season with Detroit, putting up over 20 points a night. Of course, in most improved player discussions. And he's going to be a very valuable piece for this team for the next few years while his contract remains, unless they trade him. And Isaiah Stewart looks to be one of the most dominant future centers in the league, with his size, strength, and physicality. And so that's what the Detroit Pistons have assembled in a year, arguably. All of these players were not on the roster a year ago. And now they're here all starting. And I'd argue that this team already next year can probably compete for a play-in spot. I don't know if they'll get there. I'm not saying they're going to be a 5 or a 6 seed. But if they do continue to go ahead with the play-in games as they have agreed to do so far, I don't see there's a reason why Detroit can't compete for a 10 seed with this team. Cade Cunningham, although a rookie, is going to be good. Jeremy Grant will probably continue to improve. Saddiq Bey, another year of improvement. Isaiah Stewart, Killian Hayes. If this team can stay healthy, they also still have the likes of Josh Jackson off the bench, Doumbia, Okafor, Mason Plumlee, Diallo if they bring him back. They could also bring back Saban Lee and Frank Jackson, plus whatever else they would want to do in the trade or free agency market if they feel the want or need to do so. But they have the core pieces to build a really strong team here, and that's what really excites me about Detroit. They have the star now. They have Cade Cunningham. He has the potential to be the star, the future star, leader, go-to guy of this team. They have that. They have the secondary option, in my opinion, in Saddiq Bey. I think he really is that nice. I think he really has the potential to be an elite player in this team and in the NBA. He's still young. He is only 22. He has lots of time to grow. He has nice length, nice size, very good scoring ability. I feel like he's going to have the ability to create a bit for teammates as well. I know it's not necessarily something he can do right now, but his skill set and his knowledge of the game of basketball just lends to that. And I really think that he could be a really good number 2 option. You then have supporting options like a playmaking, defensive-oriented, long, lengthy, tall point guard in Killian Hayes. That's a pretty nice secondary third, fourth option. Already in year 1 in his first 26 games in the league, he was averaging a steal a game in 26 minutes. He was averaging 5.3 assists per game. This is a good defensive playmaking point guard. This is a good Dwayne Casey point guard. This is Killian Hayes, I think under Dwayne Casey, is going to absolutely flourish if he can stay healthy, which is going to be the biggest concern for him. He's just about to turn 20. He is extremely young still, so much time for growth and development for Killian Hayes. And then you, of course, have the likes of Isaiah Stewart, who I think is going to be absolutely brilliant at the center position for them. He's a big center. He's only 6'8", but he's 250 pounds. He's built. He's strong. He can rebound the ball extremely well. He can protect the rim at a high rate as well. He definitely has to develop his offensive arsenal as far as more than just getting putbacks. But again, he is very young. He is only 20. He looked very good year 1. He's only going to continue to develop. He's only started 14 games in the league. And just give these guys a whole year starting together if they can stay healthy. This team is special. And they're going to have a couple of more first-round picks to add to this in the next couple of years, assuming that they continue to not make the playoffs for at least a year or 2, which at least for a year is probably a relatively safe assumption, or if they do make the playoffs, it's going to be through the playing games. They're still going to have a relatively good pick. They're going to be able to add more talent to this team. I truly believe the Detroit Pistons have one of, if not the best futures in the NBA right now. And honestly, here's my summation of this. A year or 2 ago, I thought the Pistons had one of the worst rosters in the league. They had no direction. They were stuck in the middle. They had Blake Griffin. They had Andre Drummond. They were stuck in no man's land. They weren't tanking. But they definitely were not good enough to really win anything. But they really didn't have any future assets outside of Luke Kennard. And Luke Kennard isn't anything amazing either because he couldn't stay on the floor. Now the Detroit Pistons in 1 year have turned that into a number 1 overall pick thanks to the luck of the lottery. And now they're going to have Cade Cunningham, a potential franchise-altering and number 1 guy on your team. They also still have added Killian Hayes, Saddiq Bey, Isaiah Stewart, Jeremy Grant, Hamidou Diallo. They still have Doumbia as well, their first-round pick from 2 years ago, who can be on the roster and hopefully continue to develop. He is still very young himself. He is only 20 and a half himself. Lots of room for development on this team. So much youth, so much talent, so many options. They have that number 1 guy. They have that number 2 guy, in my opinion. This Detroit Pistons team is scary. And I wouldn't be surprised if in 3 or 4 years, this is one of the most dominant teams in the Eastern Conference for quite a long time to come. That is my thoughts on the Detroit Pistons after they have acquired the first overall pick in the 2021 NBA Draft. Let me know your thoughts on this Detroit Pistons roster and what you see with them going forward. Regardless, either way, all I could say is that I'm going to watch a lot more Detroit Piston basketball this coming season than I did last year. This team's going to be fun. I'm excited to watch this team. Killian Hayes is going to be playing. Saddiq Bey is going to be playing. Cade Cunningham is going to be out there. Isaiah Stewart's going to be crashing the boards and doing his thing. This is going to be a fun team. Detroit Pistons fans, congrats. Enjoy it. Hope you guys enjoyed. And I'll see you guys in the next one.